Your thoughts are the architects of your destiny. They are the unseen hands shaping your circumstances, crafting your opportunities, or reinforcing your limitations. And unless you take control of your thinking, life will take control of you. The truth is this: no man ever rose to greatness by allowing his mind to be a playground for negativity. If you are to rise, if you are to transform your life in the image of your highest vision, then you must break free completely, decisively, relentlessly from the prison of negative thought. Because make no mistake about it, negative thinking is a prison. It is a form of self-imprisonment so deceptive that most do not even realize they are the jailer. I have watched men of great potential sabotage their lives because they refused to guard their minds. They allowed fear to become their companion, doubt to become their voice, failure to become their identity. But I have also seen ordinary men rise to extraordinary levels of success simply by changing the direction of their thoughts. And that is the difference, the only difference, between those who live with purpose and those who live by accident. You see, your mind is fertile ground. Whatever seed you plant will grow. Plant fear, and fear multiplies. Plant resentment, and bitterness takes root. Plant hopelessness, and despair becomes your harvest. But plant belief, and faith will bloom. Plant vision, and action will follow. Plant gratitude, and abundance begins to flow. The problem is not the soil, it is the seed. And if your life has been bearing rotten fruit, it is not because you are cursed. It is because you have been planting the wrong thoughts. Negative thinking does not announce itself. It slips in quietly. It begins with a complaint, then a comparison, then a conclusion. I'm not good enough. I'll never have enough. It's too late for me. And before you know it, you are living under a mental forecast that predicts rain, even on sunny days. You wake up worried. You walk through life expecting failure. You don't trust your own ideas. You don't pursue opportunity, not because you can't, but because you've been convinced that you shouldn't. But I tell you now, this can change, not through luck, not through circumstance, but through mastery of the one power that no man can take from you, the power to choose your thoughts. No matter your background, no matter your bank account, no matter your age, you can decide what thoughts you will cultivate. And that decision, made with faith and followed with discipline, will transform your reality. Understand this. Thought is the foundation of all achievement. Every building, every invention, every fortune ever created began first as an invisible idea in someone's mind. That is where all transformation begins. And if you allow your mind to be dominated by the negative, you cut yourself off from the source of all creativity, all inspiration, all forward movement. Negativity is not just unpleasant, it is dangerous. It paralyzes potential. It blinds you to opportunities. It makes the present miserable and the future seem impossible. You cannot afford to be careless with your thoughts. You cannot afford to let negativity live rent-free in your mind. You must treat your mind like sacred territory. Guard it, protect it, clean it, feed it, discipline it. Because whatever you allow to stay there will grow roots. And once it takes root, it will begin to shape your identity. And identity, my friend, is destiny. Now, how do you break free? The first step is awareness. You must become aware of the patterns in your thinking. Start to observe your thoughts like a watchman on the tower. Notice what triggers your negativity. Is it failure? Is it rejection? Is it comparison? The moment you notice it, stop and say, this thought is not serving me. It is not aligned with who I am becoming. Then replace it with a new declaration, one that empowers, not one that imprisons. I am learning, I am growing, I am building, I am on my way. Some will say this is delusional, but I tell you it is divine. Because every great transformation begins in the unseen realm of thought. And you must learn to speak your vision until your mind believes it, until your body moves in harmony with it, until your life begins to reflect it. This is not magic, it is mental discipline. And it is available to anyone who will commit. The second step is to refuse to dwell on what you cannot control. Negative thinking thrives in the soil of frustration. And frustration always comes from trying to manage something outside of your control. You cannot control the opinions of others. You cannot control the past. You cannot control the weather or the economy or the unpredictable behavior of other people. But you can always control your response, and that response is born from thought. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I turn this into an advantage? Because in every adversity is the seed of equal or greater benefit, but only if your mind is trained to look for it. The man who sees failure as feedback never stays down. The man who sees struggle as sharpening will never be broken. The man who understands that thoughts become things will never again think casually. And third, you must immerse yourself in the positive. Not just when you feel good, but especially when you don't. Your environment matters. The words you speak, the books you read, the people you associate with, the voices you listen to, all of it becomes food for your mind. And your mind, just like your body, becomes what it consumes. If you feed it gossip, fear, and distraction, it will become weak, anxious, and confused. But if you feed it truth, vision, and possibility, it will become bold, focused, and unshakable. Every morning, begin your day by feeding your mind with purpose. Read something that uplifts you. Speak something that empowers you. Write something that clarifies your vision. This is how you take control of the day. Because if you do not command your mind, it will be commanded by whatever noise is loudest in the world around you. Your thoughts shape your beliefs. Your beliefs shape your actions. Your actions shape your results. And your results, when repeated, shape your reality. That is why the most important battle you will ever fight is not out there, it is in here, in the space between your ears. Win that battle, and the world will bend in your favor. I want you to see your mind as a garden. Every thought is a seed. Every belief is a root. Every action is the fruit. If you plant negativity, you reap doubt. If you plant faith, you reap courage. If you plant purpose, you reap power. So I ask you, what have you been planting? And are you willing to dig up every root of fear, every weed of self-pity, every thorn of regret, and replace them with new seeds of hope, of discipline, of belief? This is not easy, but it is necessary, because nothing will change in your life until something changes in your mind. You can work harder, run faster, make more connections, but if your thoughts are poisoned, your progress will be too. The outer life can only go as far as the inner life is willing to grow. And so I challenge you, break free from the belief that your past defines you. Break free from the lie that your fear is permanent. Break free from the habit of doubting your greatness. And choose today to think in alignment with the man you are becoming, not the man you were. Because when you change your thoughts, you change your vibration. And when you change your vibration, you change your direction. And when you change your direction, success begins to move toward you like a river flowing downhill. The world is waiting not for a perfect version of you, but for a disciplined thinker, a conscious creator, a man who has chosen to rise above the mental noise and walk in power. That man is inside of you, and it's time to wake him up. The man who masters his thoughts becomes a master of his world, not because he controls everything around him, but because he controls the one thing that matters most: how he interprets, reacts to, and ultimately transforms every experience into fuel for his mission. That is the secret. That is the turning point. When you stop allowing your thoughts to control you and you begin to control them, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your destiny. You must never underestimate the power of a single dominant thought. One idea held with faith, repeated with conviction, and pursued with relentless action can outbuild 1,000 intentions never backed by belief. But you must also understand that the opposite is true. One negative thought, allowed to live in your mind unchecked, can sabotage years of effort. One moment of internal doubt, if nurtured, becomes a habit. And the man with a habit of doubt is a man who has given up his throne in the kingdom of personal power. The only difference between the man who creates and the man who collapses under pressure is this: how he thinks when things don't go his way. You see, it's easy to be positive when the sun is shining and the money is flowing and the praise is pouring in. But what happens when you fail? What happens when your plan doesn't unfold the way you expected? What happens when the world goes quiet and all you're left with is your own voice? That voice, your inner dialogue, is either your greatest coach or your cruelest enemy, and you choose who it becomes every day, every moment, every thought. If you don't program your mind to speak life, the world will program it to speak limitation. You will absorb the doubts of others, the fears of society, the negativity of the media, and you will begin to accept those as your own. But they are not yours unless you choose to claim them. You were not born to think small. You were not born to be afraid. You were not born to live at the mercy of your emotions or the opinions of others. You were born to command your life. But that command begins in the mind. And the first command is this: I will no longer entertain thoughts that weaken me. I will no longer tolerate beliefs that diminish my worth. I will no longer think like a man who has no power when I am the creator of my future. You must become a mental gatekeeper. You must develop what I call mental immunity. Just as your body fights off disease, your mind must fight off destructive thought. You do this not with force, but with focus, with intention, with repetition, with unshakable standards. You decide what thoughts are allowed to live in your mind. And if a thought enters that does not serve your vision, you eliminate it immediately. You replace it. You override it with truth. This is not denial. This is design. You are not ignoring reality. You are shaping it. You are not pretending problems don't exist. You are refusing to empower them with your focus. Because where focus goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, results begin to appear. Start with this simple question. What would the best version of me think right now? Not the fearful version, not the tired version, not the wounded version, but the strongest, clearest, most determined version of myself. What would he believe? What would he focus on? What meaning would he assign to this moment? Ask yourself this daily. Let this be the compass that guides your thoughts. Because every day you wake up, life presents you with two options: to think in alignment with your vision or to think in alignment with your limitations. And whichever you choose will become your reality. This is not theory. This is fact. This is the law of belief. The law that says you will never outperform the thoughts you consistently think about yourself. The man who believes he is destined to fail will subconsciously act in ways that guarantee it. The man who believes he is worthy of success will move through the world with a different frequency, and that frequency becomes his invitation to abundance. This is why I say, never allow a negative thought to take up permanent residence in your mind. Examine it, challenge it, replace it. Do not let it become your identity. Because thoughts are like squatters, they will stay as long as you tolerate them. But the moment you raise your standards, the moment you declare that you will only accept empowering beliefs into your consciousness, you begin to take back control. And control is the birthplace of freedom. Freedom is not simply the absence of external bondage. It is the presence of internal mastery. It is the ability to feel fear and not bow to it. To experience doubt but move forward anyway. To hear the voice of negativity and answer with a greater truth, that is freedom. And it belongs to the man who has trained his mind to serve him, not sabotage him. Now, let me ask you something else. How often do you speak life over your vision? How often do you affirm your goals with clarity, emotion, and repetition? Because what you say to yourself matters just as much as what you think. Words are thoughts made visible. Words are seeds. And if you plant powerful declarations consistently, you create a garden of confidence that no storm can destroy. Every day, you must declare who you are, not based on your past, but based on your purpose, not based on your fear, but based on your faith. Declare it, speak it, live it. I am strong. I am focused. I am capable. I am chosen for a purpose. I am rising no matter what comes against me. This is not empty motivation. This is neurological reprogramming. This is the mental conditioning that separates the man who wishes from the man who manifests. Do not wait for your circumstances to change before you change your thoughts. That is like waiting for a fire to start before you gather the wood. You must think differently first. The circumstances will follow. The opportunity will follow. The results will follow. But only after you begin to think like the man who already has them. This is the art of becoming. And I will tell you something very few will say. It takes work. It takes effort. It takes vigilance. You will not become a master thinker by accident. You must train every single day. You must be more committed to your mental strength than you are to your comfort. Because negativity is comfortable. It's easy. It's familiar. But comfort is the enemy of growth. And your life will never expand beyond the limits of your thinking. You must want this enough to confront yourself. You must want it enough to change your patterns. You must want it enough to stop feeding your doubts and start feeding your destiny. You must say to yourself, no more. No more small thinking. No more playing the victim. No more letting fear write the script of my life. That chapter is over, and a new chapter begins with a new decision. That decision is this. I will become the thinker who commands results. I will become the believer who walks in faith. I will become the man whose thoughts are so powerful they alter the energy of every room he enters. Because when you think with purpose, you act with power. And when you act with power, success becomes inevitable. It is not the man with the best ideas who wins. It is the man with the strongest mind, the mind that cannot be shaken, the mind that does not fold under pressure, the mind that does not betray itself with self-doubt. That mind belongs to you if you are willing to claim it. So build it every day, with every thought, with every word, with every refusal, to accept anything less than the mindset of a champion. Break free, once and for all, from the shackles of negative thinking. Because your mind is the gateway. Your thoughts are the key. And your destiny is waiting. The moment a man decides that he will no longer live beneath the weight of negative thoughts, his life begins to change. It doesn't change all at once. And it may not change in visible ways right away, but something inside of him shifts. His posture straightens, his mind clears, his energy sharpens. He becomes dangerous, not to others, but to everything that once kept him small. And from that decision forward, he begins to live as a man who is no longer under the spell of fear, doubt, and limitation. This is the transformation I want for you. Not temporary motivation, not shallow inspiration, but a complete internal revolution, a full renovation of your inner world. I want your thoughts to become so aligned with your vision, so saturated with purpose, that negativity simply cannot survive in your presence. Because when your thinking is clean, your spirit is unshakable. When your mind is fortified, no storm can collapse your foundation. You must understand something eternal. You were not made to merely exist. You were not born to drift through life reacting to the winds of circumstance. You were created with power, with intention, with the ability to think and choose and create a life worthy of your birthright. But that life cannot and will not emerge until you accept your responsibility to think on purpose. There is no neutral thought. Every thought is either pushing you forward or pulling you back. It is either moving you toward freedom or reinforcing your bondage. The man who realizes this begins to treat his thoughts as tools, not toys. He no longer entertains every feeling, every fear, every flash of self-doubt. He becomes the master of his emotional world, not the servant. When you break free from negative thinking, you stop negotiating with weakness, you stop explaining your limitations, you stop making space for excuses, and you start walking in alignment with the man you were designed to be, clear, focused, powerful, purposeful. That man does not speak like a victim. He speaks like a visionary. He does not shrink in the face of resistance. He sharpens his mind and moves through it. He does not complain about what he lacks. He creates with what he has. Negativity wants to tell you that you are not enough, that it's too late, that you've made too many mistakes, that you'll never become who you're meant to be. But that voice is not the voice of truth. It is the voice of the past. And as long as you listen to it, you will live there. But the past has nothing new to say. It can only replay the same old songs. And if you want a new life, you must change the station. You must tune into the voice of purpose. Purpose says you are still in the game. Purpose says your next move can change everything. Purpose says you were born for more. And when you feed that voice, when you meditate on that truth, when you repeat it until it becomes automatic, you will feel something rise inside you. That something is not motivation, it is memory. You are remembering who you are. You are remembering that you have the power to direct your life. And that memory is what breaks the chain. You do not need to fight negative thoughts with force. You need to outgrow them. And you outgrow them by feeding your mind with new truths, by stretching your vision, by surrounding yourself with new language, new standards, new possibility. It is not enough to remove the weeds. You must plant something better in their place. You must replace every fearful thought with a faithful one, every weak assumption with a strong declaration, every excuse with a new expectation. This is the work, the real work, the silent work. The daily discipline of reprogramming your internal world so that your external world has no choice but to match it. You don't rise by accident. You rise by habit, by repetition, by constantly choosing belief over doubt, purpose over pain, action over hesitation. And the more you choose these things, the more natural they become. Soon you won't even recognize the old you. He'll feel like a stranger, a shadow, a voice you no longer obey. Imagine waking up each day and immediately directing your thoughts like a commander on the battlefield. Imagine saying, "Today I will think with power, I will speak with precision, I will act with clarity. I will not allow fear to drive my choices. I will not let negativity write the script of my life." That is how you begin to walk as a man of vision. That is how you begin to command success. The world does not reward those who complain the most. It rewards those who create. And creation begins with thought. Thought becomes imagination. Imagination becomes vision. Vision becomes strategy. Strategy becomes action. And action, repeated with belief, becomes results. So if you want different results, you must first think different thoughts. It sounds simple, but it is the root of all transformation. You cannot wait for perfect conditions. You cannot wait for everyone to believe in you. You cannot wait for your fears to vanish. The time is now. The place is here. The man is you. No more excuses. No more delays. No more rehearsing the worst-case scenario. You are too powerful for that. Too called for that. Too equipped for that. Start living like it. You must stop feeding your doubts and start feeding your dreams. And that begins with language. The words you speak to yourself matter. Stop saying, "I'm not good at this." Say, "I'm getting better every day." Stop saying, "This will never work." Say, "I will find a way." Stop saying, "I always mess things up." Say, "I am learning, I am evolving, I am mastering this." Speak to yourself like someone who believes in your potential. Because if you don't, who will? And let me tell you something critical. The world responds not to who you are, but to who you believe you are. If you believe you are worthy, the world begins to open. If you believe you are capable, opportunity begins to notice you. If you believe you are valuable, people begin to treat you differently. But it starts with you. Not with what you see, but with what you think. And when you finally believe deeply enough, consistently enough, long enough, your belief becomes reality. The man who transforms his life is not the man who never has negative thoughts. He is the man who refuses to give them power. He is the man who sees them, identifies them, and replaces them. He is the man who doesn't just want to be free, he chooses to be free, daily, intentionally. And that choice becomes his legacy. So what will your legacy be? Will you be remembered as the man who allowed doubt to define him, or as the man who looked fear in the face and said, "Not today"? Will you be known as the man who lived in reaction, or the man who created on purpose? Will you leave behind the blueprint of survival or the blueprint of transformation? You have the power, you always have. And now is the moment to use it. Train your thoughts like a warrior trains his body. Push them, refine them, strengthen them. Don't just think positive, think powerfully, think purposefully. Think like the man you are becoming, and soon the world will treat you accordingly. You are one decision away from momentum, one belief away from clarity, one mental shift away from a new life. But that shift won't happen unless you make it happen. So I challenge you, no, I invite you to make a decision right now. A decision that says, from this moment forward, I will no longer be a servant to negative thinking. I will be the master of my mind. I will walk in truth. I will live in power. I will move with vision. And when the old thoughts try to return, and they will, you will greet them not with fear, but with awareness. You will say, I see you. I know you, but you no longer belong here. And you will replace them instantly with the thoughts of a man on fire for his purpose. A man who is too busy building to entertain doubt. A man who knows that transformation begins not in the hands, but in the mind. This is how you rise. This is how you build. This is how you break free. Think higher, speak stronger, move faster, live fuller. And never again let a negative thought decide your future.